Sound check 1 2 1 2. Welcome into another SR51Media stream. I am your host, Saul Aries. Today is another good day. Hopefully, it's going well for you. If it doesn't, hopefully, it turns around for you as the day goes on. Ah, the change is in the air. There is some things we need to discuss, some information that I've come across, some new things that will be changing with the brand. And you're hearing to hear first. I was a little bit cryptic today when I put out the notification for the tweet. I just put out that, there was new things I was going to talk about. I didn't hashtag any of the stuff I was talking about because I feel as though it's for the people that watch the streams live and for the people that watch it back. You're the ones that's here, so it mainly affects you. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to turn down the game audio because I don't want to be screaming over this game. That's going to be the first thing I'm going to do. I'm turning the game audio down a bit where you should be able to hear it in the background, but it shouldn't be too loud. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to queue up a match, and I'm going to let the computer play against itself because I don't want to be talking and I don't want to be talking and then basically I'm talking over the I'm screaming over the audio. So if we can, what I was gonna do, let's see, they should be available. I'm going to pick the. I'm going to pick the. Let's pick two super teams. Let's put the new Lakers versus what's another super team that was built recently? Because you want somebody that has enough stars where it's entertaining while it's going. Um, 1 second. Um, so let's put them up against. Let's put them up against. Let's put them up against the Golden State Warriors, right? And then I'm not gonna run anything. I'm just gonna let them do it. Oh, that's too loud in the background. Let me turn that down some. Where it's just barely in the background. Okay. And then I need to mute my TV so that way you don't hear it. So yeah, today one thing I want to say as a streamer, just to get this started off here, is when I first started this streaming journey, I always looked at things like professionalism, and I think that I always had that approach with this because I treat this as a brand that is going to be around not just for now, but is always evolving. One of the brand things that is on our website, if you've ever read it on our biography, it says growing at our own pace. A lot of people, I think, sometimes are doing things to call it fair and call it what it is, appease Xbox. They're sucking up to Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo. They don't want to get out of line with them because they don't want their insiders not to give them information, or they don't get mailed an Xbox or a game. And that's not how I see things going. The community to me is more important. The 51 Dynasties, my Twitter community, my YouTube community, my Theta community, my TikTok community, my website community, all of that is more important. These are people that like our content regardless of what brand logo appears before it shows up. Because if it was about brand logos, you would have comment sections where people are like, well, I don't like this because of this, or so on and so forth. So I just wanted to get that first part out, right? That basically what I noticed is, and then also at the same time, I noticed there's no real growth. You hear a lot of chopping. I hear a lot of chopping, at the mouth, wolf tickets from people that I monitor growth of other channels, and I'm like, you've been on this number for 6 years, maybe 7, you know, and it's like, where's the growth? It's not happening because either you're involved in a console war that's not real to most people or not something they care about, or you punch down at others like, I'm an Xbox, so forget PlayStation, or I'm a PlayStation, so forget Xbox. And a lot of times that affects your content because, to me, if you're punching down, and when I say punching down, I mean it like in boxing and in wrestling. When you're the heavyweight champion, a lot of times the heavyweight champion will come out and cut a promo where he's talking about everybody in the back because he feels as though he's a top dog. I feel as though with gaming, it's always evolving. It's like with anything, different combos do different things. So everybody's different. You can't really say there's one king or queen of gaming. It's a lot of king and queens of gaming, and there's a lot of up and comers. It's like anything. You got to break in and get where you get in. Now, one of the things that I noticed when I was in the stands, because a lot of times people don't understand, I think you can learn from others. I think that if I had to call it fair, one of the things that I've noticed is, and I've learned this, that one thing doesn't have to fail for another to succeed. So it's kind of like saying, basically, for SR51Media to succeed, another person on YouTube doesn't have to completely fail, or I have to talk crap about them or how they do business or anything like that. Like, I just have to stay focused on what I'm doing and what I'm doing to make the brand better. So one of the things you can notice, and I can point out to you right now, is the gameplay. When you see this gameplay that you're seeing right now, and I look up at my TV, I am seeing two different things. Now, the reason why I'm seeing two different things is because I am using the latest capture card from Elgato, the HD60 Plus, while I'm also running through my computer. Now, what has happened is this is a setup that has a max cap, okay? A max cap of, let's say, 720. Now, if I wanted to deliver 4K or a higher fidelity than 720, I would have to look at a different setup. So one of the things I did, which I always do, is I did a little bit of research into the topic so that way I could at least be somewhat informed of what's going on here. So the first thing to put across to explain that the reason why I said this was, when I heard a punch down from a content creator where they were making comments about capture cards and why they don't use them, and how basically you lose fidelity and all sorts of resolutions, and the settings are hard to use and all this sorts of stuff. I was hearing that from different people where they're like, well, this is why I don't use capture cards. And one of the things that it showed me was, I'm just going to be honest, I bought an Xbox Series S because the difference between the Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X, I think, is like 4K 120, right? But when you get into it, there's good graphics, and then there's movie level graphics, okay? And one of the things that game consoles don't match when it comes to PCs, and yes, you've tripped across the secret word, PC computers, personal computers, is that the graphics only go so high, okay? So yes, you can have a game that's 4K, right? Let me explain it to you. Some things are going to be an explanation while I'm telling you, but you can have a 4K console, but if you don't have 4K HDMI cords, a 4K TV, a 4K setup, it doesn't matter because it doesn't come through in 4K. So the setup for you to deliver something higher than 720, the whole setup has to rise. Now, one of the things I don't think people understand is when they're pushing for Xbox and PlayStation, they don't see that Xbox and PlayStation are doing everything they can to appease personal computer people, whether that be Mac or whether that be PC. It's something that I've talked about in the past. If you don't, understand where I'm coming from, or you feel as though it's something new, I'm going to click over to the website right now so that I know where I'm guiding you. You want to go to the SR51Media website. You want to click on the 3 sandwich bar tab. Hold on, I have a glitch here in the system. You want to click on the 3 sandwich bar tab, and then you want to click on SR51Media print board, right? You want to scroll down to, I just want to make sure, our technology connections and its paths, okay? What that explains in there is basically how when you buy a piece of technology nowadays, it has to connect, okay? It has to have something that connects to something else. And the reason why I say that is because look at us as humans. The average time when was the last time you yourself, outside of like with like with SR51 Media, you just go there, you open the site, and you're on the site. One of the main reasons why I went with GoDaddy is because of their connections to other brands. Okay, SoundCloud, YouTube, Google AdSense, Shopify, Amazon. There's so many different brands that they're connected to. What it does is it gives me the ability to put everything that I want to put on one location. So when you say, I want to hear SR51 Media's podcast, slide on over to the website. Oh, I want to watch some of the gameplay that came out yesterday. You can watch it on the same website. I want to read the review that they put out for Madden. Same website. You see what I'm saying? You see how it's one connection, right? So when I heard this from these content creators, the first thing I realized was what you guys are trying to do is you're trying to do what I used to see in school. I'll never forget it when I was a small young lad back in the early 90 days of the good streets, because I'm not going to say mean, because there's some good people in Philadelphia, the good streets of Philadelphia, good old Philly, right? My elementary or middle school friend asked me, "Hey, you getting the PlayStation?" And my hand to God, I said, "What is that, new toy?" Right? Because, at that time, at that age, you're still playing with toys, not like, consecutively, but you're still buying toys and action figures and stuff like that along with video games, because I hadn't made the complete switch to one complete one, right? I had all, don't get me wrong, I had the Super Nintendos, the Sega Genesis, but I also collected action figures that would come out because I was gonna, go into the whole, this is back when you could collect an action figure and, flip it for money and stuff. So I used to just keep them, and it's good because a lot of those action figures that I still have are not sold anymore. Like I don't even know how much they might be worth. The original Ninja Turtles that came out in the 80s, the Power Rangers that came out in the 90s, the wrestling ones that came out in the early 90s during the Attitude Eras. Those are things that when I get my room set up, I want to like shine them up and put them on shelves and stuff, right? That's why I kept them. But I say that to say that story that was the beginning of when PlayStation entered the gaming space. I chose to stick with Nintendo. And at the time, the last system that came out was the Nintendo 64. So after a period of time, and there's a reason why I'm telling you this, after a period of time, I chose to go with Xbox over PlayStation. Just because of the fact that when I went to the shelf for Xbox, there was a lot of, I'm the type of person that when I used to go to the shelf, I would really read the information. Like I would look at the front of the cover, judge it, look at the back. They normally will put 2 or 3 pictures, right? Read the description, read how many players can play, read if I need the internet, things like that, right? When I was looking for games for Xbox, there was a lot of games that I could connect with. Saints Row, Gears of War, Halo. For me, they had a lot of the sports titles. I'm very big on sports, football, basketball. Back then I was playing baseball, hockey. These things that I was experiencing on Nintendo, but I now could experience on Xbox. So I made the jump and I got my original Xbox OG. If I'm not mistaken, it's actually behind me under the table right now. I keep it around, right? I got rid of my 360, but I made sure to keep my original because, those are the hardest. I think those are the hardest to find. When I walk into pawn shops, I see those special edition 360s that came out, like the red one, the red Gears of War one, and all the other stuff and all these other things. They're just sitting on the shelf, right? But you don't see any original Xboxes because the average person wants to hold on to that first stage because you've been with them that long, right? I bring that up to say, even though that's the case, I've had my experiences with PlayStation, and I still to this day am a Nintendo gamer. I'm not so much a PlayStation gamer. But what I've seen happen over these last couple of years, I want to say at least these last, when did the Xbox One X come out? When did the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 come out? Maybe like more than that. Let's say 6 years, okay? Over these last 6 years, what I've noticed is there's been a lot of catering to PC, okay? We're making cross play where people on PC can play with people on Xbox and PlayStation. We're making a service for Xbox where when you buy a game for when you buy a Xbox exclusive, you get a free PC copy, right? Uh, these type of things. PlayStation, if you don't know, recently just announced that they created, if I'm not mistaken, it's called PlayStation PC. A lot of people right now are sweating in their boots, but the truth to the matter is one day you're going to look up and all PlayStation games are going to come out day and date on PC. It's the same way Xbox is going. So I took a step back and I said to my, I'm sitting in the command chair, right? And I say this to say that I thought about it and I thought back to PC. And some of the major times that stick out to me is times with my parents where there was a time where I went to my mother's job and I played on a computer that had Wheels of Fortune, right? And it was one of the funnest games I'd ever, watching the TV show and playing on the game. It was fun to play on a computer. And then, my father had Star Trek games, which took it to the next level when it came to graphics and controllers and things like that. So I understand and have seen with my own eyes how high the graphics can go on PCs and Macs, right? So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, first of all, we have to at least acknowledge that we got to the top level of streaming when it comes to a graphics card, okay? Hold on. Got a small leak here. Nothing major, just spillage. We have to acknowledge oh, this ain't a small leak. We got a big leak. Hold on. Had a little bit of a leak there. I don't know where that came from. Hopefully it ain't nothing major. Spilling down the side of the tank. We have to acknowledge that basically, in all honesty, PC is being handed stuff on a silver platter. You see what I'm saying? You got games that will come out there first. Like I did a research test, right? What I did was I went over to Steam and I said, is NBA 2K22 available? Damn if it wasn't, right? Checked out Madden 22. Damn if it wasn't available, right? So I'm sitting up here thinking to myself, if Madden 22 and NBA 2K22 and Saints Row is available on PC, then that means that if I did switch, you see where I'm going with this, if I did switch from Xbox to PC, what would I be gaining? You see what I'm saying? That's where when I wrote that article, I think I wrote that article maybe like have to be almost a year ago, right? I wrote the Connections Path article because it's important. In this day and age, you can't just buy a piece of technology just to buy it. It has to have a purpose. It has to serve a purpose, and it has to connect to your everyday life and what you do, right? I am a streamer. So when I took a step back, I said, well, let me go to the streams and watch them back and see if I can see noticeable differences. One of the main noticeable difference that I can notice is when we go to the foul line, like when somebody fouls and they go to the foul line, typically what they're doing is, if I'm noticing, they're pumping the graphics to the next level, right? And they're showing the sweat and they're showing the facial hairs and they're showing the haircuts and the tattoos and all that, right? But because the capture card is limited to 720 as an output, you are only, as a viewer, seeing 720p. So I'm announcing today my resignation of solely console gaming. I feel as though that the smarter idea is to mix in a PC build. Now, the reason why I'm announcing this is because when you look close at PC, one of the main things that most people feel is, well, if you're going to PC, you're abandoning Xbox. In a way, that's not what's happening here. For me to run games on a PC, I'm going to need Windows. I'm going to need a Windows account. I'm going to need to log into that Windows account. Some games I'm going to need to log into my Xbox Gamer account. Some games I'm going to need to log into my EA Access account. So it's not necessarily one of those things where you're switching to PC and you'll never play Xbox again. What it is if I do make this stream setup, what I want to shoot for and why most content creators should watch what they say, because a lot of people say things thinking people are incapable of doing something when everybody has their own path. Like for me, what I decided was I'm not going to go up a level. I'm not going to go from 720p to 1080. If I'm going to go up a level, I'm going to 4K. Now, I'm going to tell you like this. It may take a while. It's not going to happen overnight, okay? It's like what you're hearing from the Philadelphia Eagles. It's not going to happen overnight. Now, I'm not going to give you no metaphors about no flowers and blooms and stuff like that, but I will put it to a chess metaphor. You're looking for a checkmate. The checkmate is when we go live on YouTube and the title is First 4K Stream. That is your checkmate, okay? Because a lot of people are still tethered to consoles because of the fact that they want to be seen by the console. That's why I said that in the beginning. See, for me, I can pick this whole setup up, everybody included, and march on over to PC, and all I have to do on my Streamlabs is change the output from basically pull the cord from the Xbox and put the cord in the back of the PC. Now, it doesn't mean that I harbor a problem or issue with Xbox. You're not going to hear me say, well, because I'm looking into a PC, let me start telling you all the problems wrong with Xbox and da-da-da-da. The same stuff that's been wrong with Xbox that I told you was wrong with Xbox is still going to be wrong with Xbox. That has nothing to do with the fact of the matter. What it has to do is about games. What it has to do is about graphics. Right now, Xbox is in a situation where I feel as though they're trying to please everybody. Like, prime example, I'll give you something that you can look up yourself, and it's a prime example of why you have to, as a content creator, follow the beat of your own path and not the path of everybody else. There is at least over 1,000 streamers on YouTube that talk mainly about, there's 1,000 guys that talk about the console war from the PlayStation side of things, and there's 1,000 guys that talk about the console war from the Xbox side of things. Now, when you bring in the PC, do you want to explain to me why with the PC, they're saying you can play PlayStation games and Xbox games? So right there, what console war? You see what I'm saying? If I'm loading up God of War on my PlayStation, on my PC, and I'm playing it, what the hell does it matter if I bought a PlayStation? Same thing with Xbox. If you're going to make every game you come out with available on PC, and I can buy it on PC, then why the hell, to tell you the truth, why would I buy an Xbox Series X? It's not, why would I buy a PlayStation 5? If these two things can be combined on a PC, then it might be better for me to go long term with a PC. Now, PC has negatives, right, that we'll get into a little bit later, but some of the things that I noticed that people didn't see was the change of hand. Okay, and I'm gonna call it fair. It's gonna be on the stream because I'm about the community. I'm not about the brand, just the brand. You know, if you're gonna notice me or you're gonna notice SR51Media, you're gonna notice us as real niggas that say real things. Okay, so one of the things I noticed, which was a little bit shady, was Xbox told all of you guys, right? Xbox sat up here and told everybody that was on Mixer. We all remember Mixer, right? One of the best stream services I feel as though to ever be created, right? They sat up here and told all of us that when Mixer went down, you need to go over to Facebook, right? Everybody and their mama, go over to Facebook. It's Mixer. Xbox said Mixer is doing the thing over there, and they gonna help us out over there, right? Now you go over to Facebook, you could be level 86. These guys tell you, well, you're starting from level 1. So first of all, you're not getting any sort of recognition for all the work that you put in on Mixer. That's the first part, right? So that kind of somewhat, in a way, shifted the experience for me because I was like, damn, you know, all this work that I put in over the past couple of years, right, on Mixer. One second, grab this beat. All this work that you put in on Mixer, because remember, you can look it up for yourself. Everything I'm saying is able to be Googled and researched. I'm not one of those people that's just telling you things to tell you, right? You can Google where Xbox told everybody, going over to Facebook. You want to go to Facebook. Facebook is where we're going to be. There's videos out right now. I don't know what deal was struck. I don't know what handshake was shooken behind the doors. But basically, Xbox signed a deal with Twitch, which is Amazon's streaming service, and now Amazon's streaming service is built into an Xbox. Now, think about this for a minute, okay? Take your Xbox and PlayStation controversy hat off, okay? Put on your gamer hat. This is gamer community, gamer united type of thing, right? Xbox told all you guys that was on Mixer go to Facebook. A year later, they signed a deal with Amazon. How are you supposed to pick your camp up from Facebook and now go to Twitch? You see how following behind these companies puts you in a situation where basically you're not following yourself, right? I seen at least 4 or 5 videos right now where everybody's I'm on Twitch. I'm going to Twitch. See, now don't get me wrong. Twitch is a great platform. I have a profile over there. I've been on Twitch before. I don't have anything against them. What I'm trying to say is when you're not doing it for yourself, right? And you're just doing what they're telling you to do, you're not growing your brand, right? Like prime example, what I was talking about with the graphics. Graphics are on your department. They're not on the streaming services department, right? Like if I go out and buy the setup that I'm talking about for 4K gaming, let's just say, let's fast forward to my goal, just to tell you live now, my goal would to be in 4K. What time Madden come out? September? October? My goal would be to be in 4K by September, October. That way we can experience the new Madden, the new 2K in 4K, possibly. If all goes according to plan. Let me say this is a disclaimer right now. Lord willing, okay? If it all goes to plan, that most likely will happen, okay? But it requires a lot of research. See, for me, I'm not going anywhere near a purchase until I have a full understanding of, number one, what all the components of my computer are, because I don't, as much as I want to buy, I'm gonna tell you like this, I would love to buy a MacBook and be, I mean, not a MacBook, I would look, because I own a MacBook, I would love to buy a Macintosh tower, right, and just go about my daily life with a Macintosh tower, Apple tower. But the problem that's gonna come in is, and I've tried, okay, I've looked through all the different sources. It seems that where we stand right now, most video games that are released for Windows PCs. Okay, Apple being a closed network, it's not that you lose anything, right? Because my MacBook now becomes, now that my MacBook and my iPad wouldn't have to power the stream, I can use them to do other things like monitor chatbots. Like one of the things that I noticed was when I'm playing the game, I have to, oh, down goes the vape. 1 second. Thank you for understanding. I had to grab me a cup of tea there. Suffering with a little bit of sore, kind of cold throat nowadays. Podcaster throat. So, what I was saying was, now, here's the thing, right? There's different options that you can take to achieve this goal, right? Of higher frame rates. Now, I don't have to do this, okay? Right now, just to let you know, you are watching this stream at 720p, 60 frames a second, okay? We are buttery smooth when it comes to frames. My audio, I went back and listened to that. It sounds crisp and smooth. There's no popping or static sounds when I'm talking. When I mute the mic, you don't hear a big click button or anything like that. So we are good where we are right now. But this comes back to, it's like for anybody that has a hobby, right? Think of your hobby. If when you first start out, typically in a hobby, like say take for instance racing cars, right? When you first start out, you buy a mid to okay car, your starter car. Your first, everybody remembers their first car, like I have my first Xbox, right? Now, when you move into, being a little bit older and you get into your 30s and things like that, and you have a little bit more liquid income, that's when you buy a better car, something that's faster, right? And then as you get older, typically most people will tell you as you get older, you become better with money management and you buy better equipment, right? So for me, I feel as though I can compare it to even Star Trek and how you buy ships. You start off with a shuttle. You start off with a shuttle. You move your way up to a fighter, and then before you know it, you got an Enterprise Star class starship. Now, the thing about PC, and I never really like giving it victories, is people call it the PC master race. Okay, and I always myself never really truly believed that because I feel as though console games get most games first. Okay, so that's where one of the smart moves that I did do, and I would recommend this to anybody that owns a capable PC or a capable laptop. I would find out if your games that you want to play run on that first before you commit to an Xbox Series X. Because the way it's looking right now, it's not seeming, with the shortage thing, it's giving people more time to think. I've had more time to think over these past, the console came out last November, right? So I've had a lot of time to think about what was the best one. The present and amazing gift that I got for Xbox Series S put me into a standpoint where I'm like, wow, these graphics are next gen. This is tough, right? But what I said to myself was, I thought, okay, well, for the viewership, do we actually need to upgrade or do you want to upgrade? Now, I'm gonna be honest, I want to upgrade. I don't need to upgrade. I don't actually need to upgrade the system. But the things that come along with PC gaming are the type of thing that has me intrigued. When I went to the Steam store, I looked up NBA 2K22. It was available. I looked up Madden 22. It was available. I looked up Saints Row's game that's coming out. It was available. Well, the Saints Row's previous games was available, so I'm assuming they'll probably get the one that's coming out, right? A lot of people nowadays, which is kind of understandable to me more now, is they have PCs and either an Xbox or PCs and a PlayStation, right? And you go back and forth. For me, I want to do the research, okay? I know that I'm gonna tell you right now, I know that there's top level components and everything, okay? Everything has a top level. I'm pretty sure there's a graphics card that is, 4K master graphics and super over the top, graphics card that costs $3,000. For something like that, I probably won't buy that because what I'm looking to build is a beginning monster. When you build PCs, because that's what I plan on doing, I don't think it's smart to buy a pre-built PC because of the fact that the console, what do you call it? Not the console. The capture card that I have is an Elgato HD 60 Plus. And one thing I can say about Elgato is I have not had a problem with this capture card since I had it. That review is coming too. This capture card, since I bought it, man, it's just been peace and tranquility. I ain't had to worry about unplugging the capture card, going into the settings to make it work. I mean, yeah, sometimes the settings will blank out, but a lot of times that's my fault. You know, that's user error. So I said to myself, okay, if they're great with a capture card, then they might be great with a PC. Now, what we gonna do, right? We gonna leave the window open for a potential switch to a different platform. Okay. Now the reason why I left that open, not for me, but the reason why I left that open is because most people take that choice figuring this is the best option. Oh my God, I'm on Twitch. Here's the thing. When you go to the SR51Media website, there's over 100 hours of gameplay, right? That was done under a year, like halfway through a year or something like that, right? The position we're in now is questions. You sure I'm saying? When I'm looking at PC, I'm like, oh, you know, it's pretty nice. Looked at the prices for it. I think top level PC, 9 times out of 10, you're looking at probably about 15, 16, probably 2 around the time you get to the payout window, right? Let me see something real quick. 1 second. And just to let you know what I'm doing, I'm looking up this video to make sure I'm giving you the right information. Okay, so I'm back with more information for the discussion. So, what I was basically learning just now was the resolutions for Twitch, right? So the resolutions are the highest I think is 1080p, right? So if I bought a 4K system, right, you would have to see if you can stream to YouTube in 4K, right? And here's the thing. We talk about connection paths, right? We talk about these things connecting. The first part it connects to is it connects me to YouTube because I've heard people say I've heard information passed around that in the community that you can stream to YouTube in 4K live streaming. Okay. I use what's called Streamlabs, which is an overlay. That's why you see all the graphics and things moving around on the screen, right? I use graphics, animated graphics. So most people figure, okay, I'm just gonna buy an Xbox Series X and stream in 4K, right? But once again, the capture card, if I'm not mistaken, I think it taps out or tops out at 720p, right? So for me, I think I am okay with things. I am okay with the way things are now, right? Like watching a stream, and because I have yet to watch this game in the stream. Watching this stream now, like pulling it up, I noticed that the frame rates are buttery smooth. I noticed that my audio is coming through great. I noticed that the graphics are showing the game at a high rate, right? And I think that it's workable, right? I don't think that it's unprofessional. I think that something unprofessional would be if my audio was glitchy, if the stream was glitchy, things like that. Like you see right now on LeBron, right? That sweat, there should have been more sweat on his arm. Little things like that, right? But what I'm not going to do is not take you along with the journey. One of the things I thought about was I was like, I'm one of those people where if I bought a PC, I would want it to be an Xbox PC. I would want it to be where I'm one of those guys where I don't like keyboard and mouse. I'm just not a fan of it. Okay. I don't like playing video games that way. I didn't grow up playing video games that way. That's what's always kept me to console is the fact that you don't need a controller to play on. I mean, you need a controller. Excuse me. You don't need a controller on PC to play uh, games. Most people use keyboards. So most games that don't have controller support, I probably wouldn't buy them, wouldn't play them, right? But 4K, to achieve 4K, because most people, like, okay, Twitch, when you stream directly from Twitch, from your Xbox to Twitch, you can turn the setting up to 1080p, right? And then, if I'm not mistaken, when I go to the stream, let me check something here. If I can see it while we're streaming. Yeah, I don't see anything in here that says. Yeah, I'd have to shut it down. But let me check something 1 second. Yep, exactly what I figured. So the capture card, what I can probably maybe save money on is the capture card. If it's plugged directly into the system, right? The PC. If I was to get a PC, uh, you can just select 4K and do it like that. I spent a little time thinking about it and stuff like that, and I'm like, for me, I like where I am with YouTube. I think that it's a great thing. I see people that go back and watch the streams and play back, and I think a lot of times that's because, people got jobs. You got a job, or you got kids, or you were watching a TV show, or maybe I was streaming when football was on or basketball was on and your team is playing and you couldn't watch the stream. So I'm very thankful that I got to the level that I'm at now, right? And I think that for me, it's a good option. I look that, to know that it's out there type of thing. I think it's very good. But I think what I would do is I would find out first, can you make it work where you are? You don't want to necessarily just buy a whole nother setup and be looking to move. The PC market is good, right? I think it's a good thing to buy, but there's a lot of research that's going to have to go into that. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be at least 5 or 6 months before I have any real equipment or results. You see what I'm saying? Because I feel as though you have to do the proper research. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm a console dude, and I never really wanted to be outside of that, right? And like where I'm streaming now, this is a screen capture. This isn't a Twitch stream, right? This is a stream capture. So let me see, in my Elgato with the settings. Can you turn it up? Oh, we can go up to 1080p. Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Let me see if it worked on you guys' end. Where you can go up to let me pull the stream up on my phone, because if we go up to 1080p, fuck a 4K. For real. I'm like, let me see something real quick. Cause it had a setting. I swear, man, sometimes you just gotta put in the work and look. Let me see. I noticed. Let me see something. Where is it? Webcam. There we go. Webcam. Yeah, I think it's coming through better now. I believe it's coming through at 1080p now. So let me check YouTube and see, because it might have been something where I had to set it outside of the stream, but I just changed the setting, and the setting said, let me see, the setting said, oh, okay. All right. So there is a setting. We now have found out there is a setting in the settings here of the Elgato capture card where I now have it set to 1080p 30. So let me back out of this window and see if it'll work. No. So what it might be is, it might be that basically before I start the stream, I have to start the stream at 1080p, because it's set at auto. It says, let me see something here. It says quality. Yeah, 1080p look way better than 720. Way better. I'm looking at it on my graphics card. That's closer to the graphics that I wanted to have. 1080p, because 1080p is kind of closer to what I'm seeing. All right, so what we're going to do, right, because we need this to capture, we're going to stop this stream. Let me pause this game. We're going to stop this stream and restart it. So don't go anywhere. Click